today we're going to be learning about how to create inputs that users can type into, read those values, and then do something with the values. So first, let me show you what the app is that we're trying to make. It's called our complement bot. If you look here, the complement bot is our bot right here. And there's just some days you just need a compliment to make you feel better. Well, this bot will give you a compliment about whatever you want. So if you look over here, you just tell it your name, you give it what you want to compliment about, and you press chat, and then it'll give you a little compliment that pops up here. So to do that, we got to learn a few things and make it happen. So first, let's look at our index. I just want to point out that there's this new HTML element that we haven't learned about yet. And let's just talk about what it does. So if you look over here, this is called an input HTML element. All you have to do is write the word input, and I could retype this just to make life a little easier. You would put the word input, okay? You give it an ID, you call it like name, okay? And then we have something called a placeholder. A placeholder is what you want the input to say so the user knows what to put in it. So right now you'll see there's nothing, so the user wouldn't know what to put in it, okay? So if I put this here, they'd be like, oh, it's blank. So we could say enter name. And now the user will see this grayed out thing that says enter the name, see? So that gives us a little bit of, like the user, some indication of what this input's all about. And then also, just so you guys know, though this isn't very relevant, is you give it a type of input. And there's lots of different types. We're going to just be doing text for this class, where you enter a text in. But you could do it so only numbers could get entered in. So I could say number. So I can make sure that only numbers get put in. You can see I'm trying to put letters in. It's not working. I could put a number. I can go up and down. Okay. That works like that. You could do a date input. Let's say you wanted to get use the date. See? Enter now. You have a little calendar. It's that easy. We can even have them get files. So I could do a file input. Check it out. See? You're just going to update things, upload things. So that's kind of like the different types of ones that you can do. But we're just going to be working with text inputs. All right. So we got input 1, where we put the name in. And the second one, you'll see there's the same pattern. It says input 1. This one, sorry, we have name. Let's change this to something a little bit easier to understand. We'll call this compliment. What would they want the compliment about? And then what would you like me to compliment? All right, and also the type of text. So we have 2 inputs, and then we have this button that when we press the chat button, we want this to pop up. So now we know how to do an input. We give it an ID, a placeholder, and the type. All right, and now the part is where we're going to get it to pop up on the screen. So let's head on over to script.js, and let's do what we do best. First, we want to make it so when we click the button, something happens. So at this point, hopefully you have this down, but we'll say let chat button equal document.query selector. Hopefully you figured out that we need to do hashtag and get the ID of that button. So if you look here, the ID of the button is chat. So we'll come over here, say chat, and then we'll add a event listener to it. So we're going to say chat button.add event listener. We're listening for a click. And then when we hear the click, boop, boop, boop. There we go. We want something to happen. Now let's just check to see if it's working. So what I like to do is always console log and just say like, I work. Right? It's a good check. Check to see if things are working. So I press chat. You see how I work's popping up? All right, my button's working. Now the next thing is to get the value of to get the input and its value. So what we're going to do is we're going to say let name equal document.query selector, and this is where we get the ID of that input. So we're going to reference it. So we're going to say name, hashtag name, and what we're doing is we're going to get the value of it. So I'm going to say dot value, and what this means is referencing that input, and we're going to get the value of whatever is in that input. So this is very important. You got to put dot value at the end if you want to get the value of it. And just to show you if this works, check it out. I'm going to console.log name, and let's try it out. If I say, well, let's do Ben, you see how Ben gets logged here. So that means I did get the value out, and I was able to console log it. So document.query selector, the ID of that input, and then the value. Now, the next thing really is, let's do a basic version of this where we could just get the bot to say our name. So we got to figure out what is the ID of this box, right? This is where our content is going. So if you see here, usually I've been calling it content, but in this one, I give it the ID of response. It's okay. We can call it whatever we want. So where the bot is going to respond to us is in the div with the ID of response. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say let response equal document dot query selector, and I'll put here response. Okay. So that's where our response, remember, is where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put like my response to the user. So now I'm going to say response.inner HTML equals, and the most basic version of this is I could just put name right here. So check it out. If I put Ben here, it just says Ben. All right. See, it's just putting the name there. So it's going to the response box, change the HTML, and just putting my name there. Now, if we wanted to make this a little bit cooler, what I could do is something called interpolation, which means I can take that variable and put it into a sentence. So I'm going to do backtick, and to be clear, the backtick is the one underneath the escape button or to the left of your one. This is very important. And I could say, hey, what's up? And then we'll do hashtag, and I'll say whatever the name is. So the variable name is name, and what that does is it interpolates, meaning it puts that variable into this place in the sentence. Now notice how it turns white here. If I were to not use backticks, you'll know you're doing something wrong, because if I use non-backticks, it looks, or I use quotes, you'll see that nothing changes color, right? So it's very important to use backticks on this, or else you cannot interpolate. So let's see how this works now. I'm going to say Ben, and I'll say, hey, what's up, Ben? The next part is, there's actually two inputs here. There's one that says the name. The second one says, what would you like an input, a compliment about? So what we're going to do is say, what do we want to compliment about? So we got to get the input value first. So I'm going to say let compliment. And I'll say equals document dot query selector. And let's go here. Let's look at the ID. We gave the ID of this compliment. We'll come back here. And we'll say dot value. Okay, so now we're getting the value of the compliment. The next part is to add it to this sentence. So remember, we're not just saying the name, we're saying the name and what we want to compliment them about. So we'll say, hey, what's up, blank, their name. You have amazing, and then we'll say what the compliment is. So notice how I can interpolate two different things. I could do the name and the compliment. So it says, hey, what's up, name, you have amazing compliment. So it's interpolating both into one sentence. So if I could say here, Ben, you have, and here's what I want to compliment about, check it out. Hey, what's up, Ben, you have amazing hair. So notice how that's it. So see here, I got the values of the two inputs, and then I was able to do interpolate them into this sentence. So that's it. That's what we're learning today. We're just learning how to get the values and then put them into a sentence. Let's just kind of go through the steps here. We'll kind of just walk you through it. So just for a hint, let's just remind ourselves what to do. Our steps, we'll say, step 1, reference button, right? Oh, why is it? Okay. Step 2, we're going to add event listener, to button. Okay, step 3, get values of inputs. Step 4, reference where you want to put your content. In this case, it was response. And then step 5 full steps, change the inner HTML of where the content is going. So just to go through these to make sure that we're all on the same page, we referenced the button here. We added the event listener. We got the values of our two inputs. We referenced where we want to put our content. In this case, it was response. And we changed the inner HTML. All right, guys, that's it. You should be good to do your MadLibs, and good luck. Peace.